This is the Basketball Show with Shane the Hammer Heel and Steve Mr. Magic Garfino. Brought to you by Unibet, TCL Plex, and News Corp. What they gonna say next?
Hello and welcome to the Basketball Show, brought to you by our partners, of course, Unibet, TCL Plex smartphones, and News Corp Australia. And as usual, sitting on the desk with me is Shane the Hammer Heel, one of two names that is synonymous with Australian basketball. Really? Andrew Gaze is you, and number two, or the other way around, Shane Heel.
Same here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that, mate. But what a weekend of basketball and a massive show coming up. Two good things that have come from South Australia. Jo Ingles and Jo Healy.
And Jo Healy
We've got her
from
coming
Fox
up
Sports. Of course, you guys have heard of her. She's bringing us some fantastic news. Of course, we're going to announce the winner of our competition, win the TCL Plex smartphone, as well as win the autographed basketball. We got a bunch of goodies coming your way, but another thing that's coming your way is a great basketball game between the Sydney Kings and the New Zealand Breakers. And in that game is a great matchup between Sean Long and Andrew Gaze.
Andrew Gaze or Andrew Bogut?
Oh, man.
That would be
would
be a mismatch.
Yeah.
Imagine
Okay.
Andrew Gaze.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
That would be funny.
I'm getting my mispronunciation of a name out early. Sean Long and Andrew Bogut.
That's going to be a great matchup. And they're both the best two centers in the NBL. And a lot of debate about... I still go with Bogut. Sean Long is a great talent. He is an NBA talent. A couple of areas still struggling with is the pick and roll defense, gets himself into foul trouble, and he also just worries about mistakes, whereas Bogut is just a veteran. So good at bringing people into the game, and he's a winner.
I think one of the reasons why he struggles against Andrew Bogut, the first time they played against one another, surely a great talent, as Shane has mentioned, but he gets away from his strengths. He's pick and pop. He can shoot the basketball from the three-point line. He shoots for his mid-range shot. When he's not playing against Bogut, for some reason, when he plays against him, he wants to bang, go down low, and be a post player. Can you explain why he would go away from his strengths?
Well, I think he's learning how to be a piece on a championship team. It's okay when you play for bad teams, but you've got to adjust your game in finding ways to be the best and play that piece of the puzzle. So, great matchup. It's going to be a really good game. I still find it hard to be able to tip against the Sydney Kings. They're the best team in the league right now. I still think that Melbourne United and the Sydney Kings, this is a preview for the grand final happening down the track when Casey Prather comes back. They're a quality team.
Well, now we got the real Shane Heel back. Let's throw in hammer time, because you're getting a little hard on people again because you're a bit soft the first couple of weeks, just kind of sliding into it.
I don't feel like I'm either going to be hard or soft on this one, but I want to talk about the Hawks. Going through a really tough time. You just get that feeling. We spoke about it earlier in the season that it's unlikely LaMelo Ball will be here for the year. I don't think there's any way that he's having any roast turkey in Australia for Christmas Day. I think he's back home. So the big thing for Matt Flynn right now is he's trying to get a replacement player for Brooks. So it'll be a real balancing act of whether he just goes for a two-man, whether he has to go for a guard that's a combo if LaMelo leaves early, and what sort of player he gets with that. And the other thing that I've got with the Illawarra Hawks is Boone. Big Boone. He's been a great player, but he is so far past it right now. He just can't get it done. Have a look at this play of him trying to defend the pick and roll. And he sort of half shows, but gets caught in the wrong position. You have a look at his first step back, trying to get back to Hodgson, who just yams it on him. It's like, I could score against that. So they've got big problems, a lot of things that they have to really find solutions to. And I feel sorry for Matt Flynn at the moment. He's been thrown into the fire with a really difficult challenge of coaching the Illawarra Hawks in year one.
Well, what is it with players that get old in a hurry? I mean, he was a real impact player for Melbourne United just a couple of years ago, and real quick downward slide.
Well, and some players, we see some players that get old quick, as you say, but he was always the wrong sort of choice for me because they already had AJ. They just needed that athletic 3-4. Somebody like Conga that played for them a couple of years ago would have been fantastic. So, was that his name? Demetrius Conga?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a great player that would have been perfect for them. But big challenge for the Illawarra Hawks. Hard to see them winning too many games unless they get a bona fide superstar.
This is the Starting Five, brought to you by TCL Plex smartphones.
That brings up a good topic that I'd love to talk about. Or how about the next stars here in the NBL?
Starting five.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. Starting
Okay.
5. Let's get into it. Number 1 topic.
Okay, well, we've been a massive fan of the Next Stars program, and it's been great. The amount of people that are watching it, the publicity and everything else. But I think the NBL have to be a little bit careful as well, because I don't feel like they've given 10% of the publicity to some of our young stars that haven't gone to college. Guys like Will Magnay, that's been a star, Sam Froling, Harry Froling, but Sam didn't even go to college. So they've stayed here in Australia. They'll be here for the whole year and for future years until they go to the NBA. They need to balance the love.
Yeah, and if you talk about these guys are great personalities and Australians need to be a little more outgoing, these next stars that have come over here, like LaMelo Ball hasn't said a word. So it's not that. It's not that the fact that they're so promotable. Now, LaMelo has a bunch of followers, and maybe he talks a little bit more when he's home on his reality show. But the truth is, Australian stars are missing college, playing in this league. Great opportunity for these young players not to go over to Europe. I agree with you. We got to be pumping these guys up for sure. What do you got for me?
Scotty Hudson.
Hobson. Man,
In that injury. Oh, my goodness. How much has he killed New Zealand?
Oh, man. You know, like, he was New Zealand, one of my top 4 teams, and he's one of the reasons why. You know, we had 51
They won't
in the
make
D-League
top 4
game.
now.
He won't. No, he won't. That is a very difficult player to replace, and he's patient. He waits for his spots, and he doesn't have to get 50 and have the ball. He does it when he can. He just does it within the structure. He's going to be missed.
They'll still win games. It's going to be tough without him, though.
All right, where is Casper Ware's offense?
He's offensive foul. The last offensive foul.
I want to know what happened to his shot first.
Oh, he was, I don't know. I said to him, actually, I interviewed him, and I said, mate, I thought you lost your jump shot in transit on the way from Melbourne. He wasn't very happy. He goes, oh, you had a bad game every now and again. I'm like, I don't know about that, mate.
I had a slump. You know about that.
Yeah.
He got real defensive.
I don't know about any slumps. But no, he's been struggling. But I tell you, if I got called for that offensive foul, that last 30 seconds or what it is, and I saw Michael Aylen yesterday, I said, turn it up, mate. You're kidding, aren't you? Call that. And he goes, no. Scott Butler said it was the right call.
Oh, man, are those guys ever wrong? I mean, I think they're doing a fantastic job. The officiating's been much better this year. But are those guys ever wrong?
No.
Especially when it's not in black and white. It's in color. It's in slow motion. And still the denial. It perplexes me.
What about the mascot up there in Cairns?
Oh, my goodness.
He's not a friendly fella, but
No.
I actually kind of found this a little bit funny.
Well,
What do you think?
have a look. Have a look. I mean, they've got a great. Whoever the snake is, because I think they went through a change in the guy that's underneath it. Well, for the kids, that's
someone there.
it's just a mascot.
It's not Santa, mate.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
We could reveal that there's something in it.
That's right. Well, I had a little trouble with the snake myself in Cairns. I had some trouble.
That's another story.
I had some trouble with one of the fans in Cairns who said I was the most despicable commentator that's ever lived. But
He did throw a bag of snakes at you.
Did throw a bag of snakes at me, but he's very clever, very funny.
Okay.
All right. What have we
Last
got for
one.
you? Last one. Chris Golding's flop.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean,
We love Bubbles.
I
We
know.
love Bubbles. And we
He's a
love him
great
when he's
player.
wearing the green and gold. How good is he?
I know.
And we thought we'd stop the flop. We thought we'd stopped it. We thought we had an impact on that last year. People started to stop the flop. But that could be one of the worst flops that I've seen in a basketball game. Maybe seen some in soccer. Ben Madgen was appalled, and rightly so.
Yeah, I think those guys have some history. And Golding's had some history with the flop in Adelaide. Well, here on the Basketball Show, we're always trying to add to our credibility. And from Fox Sports News, we are going to be in the know with Jo. That's Jo Healy. Thanks for joining the show.
How good. I like that intro.
Good to
too.
be
Well
here,
done,
guys.
Jo.
Okay, I didn't want to peak too early. I'm getting better as the show goes.
Well, it's nice having a reporter on board. You've spoken to the NBL about our Stop the Flop with Golding and a few other calls. What
That
do you got for
amateur piece of acting you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Look, I spoke to Nick Johnson from the NBL. To be honest, he just said, look, that's classic Chris Golding. It's almost what we've come to expect. I mean, he's such a good player. He is such a good player, and he's almost too valuable to the league to really try and clamp down on it too much. Yeah. But, from my point of view, I kind of feel like I lose a little bit of... my opinion of him regresses ever so slightly every time it happens, and then he builds it up again, and then it goes back again, and it's just a bit of a seesaw.
He did something similar in your beloved Adelaide, didn't he?
I believe so. I wasn't actually there, but I've heard all about it.
Booed him ever
Yeah.
since. Booed him ever
They boo
since.
him. Yeah, Shane, I can't believe you didn't interrupt Jo, because she was saying the NBL just going to let him get away with it.
Yeah,
You said,
well,
"You're
I
being
could see
extra
his
polite."
facial expressions
I
out the
know.
corner.
Oh, I mean,
He's
the
got this
NBL
thing with his lip that he does when he's really.
Start to, it's like, yes, the NBL can act. Flick him on the nose so he stops doing it.
All right, another bad call. Casper Ware.
Terrible call.
Casper Ware. Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, look, I think for the most part, they've been really happy with the refereeing. Nick said he spoke to Scott Butler before the weekend. There obviously were a couple of calls over the weekend that were contentious. A lot of people on social media not overly happy with them. That one in particular, as you said earlier in the program, I think if it was you in that situation, they hadn't called that all game. They call it at the death and really end up having an impact of the game. That's really frustrating. But they've said that this season they've had a lot less negative noise around the referees compared to what they have last season. So that's a step in the right direction. And I think they're always going to try and improve and try and review everything. Nothing will obviously happen from the weekend that's just gone. They'll just learn from it.
Yeah,
I agree with that, though.
Yeah, I agree too.
I think
Other
it's
than the
better.
obvious ones where they just say, oh, no, that's the right call, when it's the wrong one, I think the officiating has been like you hardly notice them. The games are flowing. There's some great talent, and they're letting them play.
And lastly, Jason Kadee. He's been on fire. You caught up with him today.
He's been really, really good. I mean, they're so stoked. They've had 2 wins over the weekend. They've got another big test this weekend coming up against the Kings, who they obviously lost to last week gone. I just spoke to him about the atmosphere at Illawarra, because obviously you guys talked about this last week and the fact that maybe there's a little bit of frustration brewing at the Hawks. Obviously they're not getting the wins on the board, but also with Melo being there are perhaps differences in where people really want to spend their time. Most of the guys want to win. He obviously wants to win, but he's also there, for a semi-selfish reason too. And Jace just said he could definitely feel the frustration. He didn't know, exactly what it was, whether it is the fact that Melo's there, but he just said it was an odd atmosphere, and being on the opposition side, I think that was something that Brisbane were able to really take advantage of.
Well, you could sense that in the game too. I mean, they're missing so many pieces. There's frustration all round for everybody, but certainly, different goals for Melo versus probably the rest of the team.
All right. Well, since we've got Jo here, she can join in on the fun. We've got our courtside announcers. We've got our correspondents all around Australia. Paolo Kennedy, what's happening down south in Mexico?
Yeah, well, this week I want to talk about unsportsmanlike fouls, because a couple of years ago, FIBA brought in some new interpretations, and there's a couple of hiccups in international basketball and in the major leagues around the world, but in the NBL, we're still having all sorts of problems with it. You know what? I reckon we've almost got a culture where our refs are now hunting out unsportsmanlike fouls at every opportunity, off to the replay desk to sit down and watch it and see if it's a USF or not. I don't know that that's good for the game. It's stopping the show. The fans don't want it. The coaches don't want it. The players don't want it. And the millions of people around the world who are now watching the NBL, they don't want to see that. They want to see our awesome players going at it. And I think there's an easy solution. Let's make the unsportsmanlike fouls like other fouls. Don't watch the replay unless it's the last 2 minutes of the game or overtime. If it's an obvious unsportsmanlike foul, someone's grabbed someone going for a dunk or grabbed someone to stop the fast break, call it by all means. But if there's doubt, let's give the benefit of the doubt, blow the whistle, normal foul, let's get on with the game. The show this year is way too good to be stopping it all the time, to be looking at the replay screen.
Well, Paulo, talking about unsportsmanlike fouls, I think players have got to adjust as well. I think there's part of it from the way the call is made by the referees, but I also think players, once you know what the rules are, you can't keep doing the same thing over and over and then complaining that you're giving away free throws in possession.
Yeah, exactly. And I always say that they were talking about the flop. If you just let a guy continue to fall down and it's 5-on-4, then the guy will stop flopping. So that is testament to guys adjusting to how the game is called.
Yep, that's true. Let's get over to our man Lacko. There's been a coaching change. Is it a positive?
Yeah, hey guys, great to be back. Well, I want to take a minute this week to talk about the timing of the arrival of new Wildcats assistant coach Scott Roth, an NBA journeyman who spent time at the Warriors, Raptors, Pistons, Grizzlies and Mavs, and has a pedigree of developing NBA quality big guys. No doubt Coach Trevor Gleeson will want him closely aligned to import Dario Hunt. The reason being, keeping him on the floor. If any indication is his minute production against the Breakers, where he had a career game of 21 points and 11 rebounds, this will be Roth's number one priority. If we look at his average per game this season, 19 minutes per game, but that falls away to just 14 minutes per game in the 2 losses. If the Wildcats want to reclaim a 10th NBL championship, the big man department and the interior targets of Hunt, Wagstaff, Vague and Kay are going to be important ingredients in the Wildcats' future.
So interesting points from Lacko. They certainly need some help with some of the bigs. And also Nick Kay, I reckon he can do a little bit of work as well. We know he's a superstar, but he had a donut in Brisbane on Friday night until the last 30 seconds where he got a breakaway layup. So a bit more responsibility from the big fella.
I think that Nick Kay he can be a bona fide star. I think at times he just slips back into that role player role, and I think that
Glidden Blanchfield mindset.
Oh wow, that's not really that much because he still knows he's a major contributor for that team. But wow, that's another level. Joe, what do you got for us?
Well, I believe Derek's got some news on Brisbane, 2 massive wins over the weekend.
Critical big performances by the Brisbane Bullets. Friday night, they knock off Perth here in Brisbane, and then they go on the road and beat an undermanned Illawarra Hawks team, and actually it was demolition. Hey, don't take anything away from the Bullets for beating an undermanned team. That's how you got to handle your business on the road. Now look, the big change was Jason Kadee. He came off of that bench. I thought he should have been starting, but Coach Lamanis knows his team better than anyone else. He left Kadee on the bench, and Kadee went to work in both games, knocking down threes and showing that he's one of the Bullets guys that can play well alongside Lamar Patterson. He can shoot the 3, he can drive, he can find teammates, and he can also get to the free throw line. Well done, Kadee. You got to keep that form up. The only downside is Cam Glidden looks like a shell of himself. They've got to get him back in the rotation and feeling good if this team wants to continue to progress this season. See you next week, guys.
Well, they were impressive. How far do you reckon they can go, the Bullets?
Well, having spoken to Jason, I mean, he seems to think that they can take down the Kings this week. He said full respect to them, but they played to the Kings' defence last time. He said if they're at their best, they can beat them this week. So, I'd take him on his word until I see it for itself.
All right. Well, fantastic having you on the show. Hopefully you can come back again.
Yeah, great to be here, guys.
All
Thanks,
right.
Joe.
That's Joe in the know.
It's time now for the Unibet game preview. Who's hot? Who's not?
And now it's time for the Unibet preview. Let's get through our NBL predictions and preview the games this week. It's Melbourne United, and they're away at the New Zealand Breakers.
Can I just start by saying we have been on fire? We have been on fire with our selections, and it's going to start again here. Melbourne United will be too good for New Zealand. I'm going to go 1 for 10, but they could go a little bit higher than that.
I'm going Melbourne United 1 to 10. Okay. How about the Sydney Kings away at the Brisbane Bullets?
Sydney Kings will make a statement against the Brisbane Bullets. So far, Brisbane had a good win last week against Perth at home. The only other wins they've had is 2 against Illawarra and 1 against Cairns. So they haven't proven anything to me just yet.
The Sydney Kings playing very good defense, holding teams to a low percentage and low points. As a matter of fact, only one team has scored over 79 points. I'm just making this up as they go, but they're playing pretty good.
I'll go 1 to 10 on that. It could be higher too.
I'll go 1 to 10 as well. New Zealand Breakers at the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix.
I'm concerned about the Breakers without Hobson. They've still got enough pieces that they can be a good team, but I'm going to go for the Phoenix to be able to bounce back 1 to 10 against New Zealand.
I'm going with the Phoenix as well. Roberson, he's just extremely fun to watch, and of course Mitch Creek, always a threat for a triple-double. How about the Illawarra Hawks away at the Cairns Taipans?
Well, this is a little bit harder to predict because we don't know whether they'll have new import by then, the Illawarra Hawks. They could have somebody else here that is an absolute gun. Some of the names on the board for the Hawks are impressive players. Let's say they don't get anyone. I'm going Cairns 11 plus. I think it'll be a hiding if they roll out the team that they had last night against the Brisbane Bullets.
All right, I'm going to go with the Cairns Taipans and Machado. I think he is running a serious point guard game for them. He's really getting it to the right people. They're really starting to flow, looking like a good team. All right, the Adelaide 36ers are away. Melbourne United.
Well, I think Melbourne United start to bounce back a little bit now, and Casey Prather is getting closer, by all reports, to making a return to the court. So I'm going to go Melbourne United 1 to 10. I think Adelaide will fight hard, but they'll be too good.
1 to 10 as well, Melbourne United. Every time you say Casey Prather, I always start thinking about those sunnies that he wears indoors.
He didn't have them the other day.
No, I think he probably watches the show.
Yeah. Must.
And how about the Perth Wildcats away against the Sydney Kings? Anytime the Perth Wildcats play against anybody, they are the measuring stick. Is your team for real? You're going to find out against the Perth Wildcats.
Just about players that I think watch the show. I think Josh Byrne wants it because he would not make eye contact as I went to say hello yesterday. But anyway, the Sydney Kings against the Perth Wildcats, I think the Kings will be too good. I don't think the Perth Wildcats are playing their best basketball. They'll be there in the Final Four, but they've still got a little way to go. And I'm going to go with the Kings. I reckon they could smash the Perth Wildcats. I'm going to go 11 plus.
Yeah, Dario Hunt, 21 and 11. He's 10 for 15 from the field. Starting to show some form, really starting to
do
play
it against
his role.
Bogut. That'll impress me.
The bigs for Perth, those imports that they have, those guys always seem to come along late and come good right when it counts.
Okay.
Before we get to the Unibet NBA game preview, let's talk about the Australians in the NBA who are running hot, and nobody's running hotter than Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons versus the Portland Trail Blazers, 18 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals. That is statting all the way across the board, my man.
6-0 for Philly. They won on the buzzer against Portland. I watched that big win. Aaron Baines as well for Phoenix in the New Jersey. 20 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 from 7 from the three-point line for the big fella. Playing some good hoops.
All right. Also racking up some numbers is Patty Mills, of course. Did he come off the bench for 31?
Yeah.
31 points off the bench, 6 of 9 outside the three-point line.
Great job. Only asterisk was against Golden State.
All right. The Heat are in Denver. Who you got?
I love the Heat. Great team, so well coached. These young guys can really play. I'm going to tip them for an upset, 1 to 10 against Denver. Okay. Unlikely, but a good team.
All right, you're on fire, so nobody needs to hear from me. The Philadelphia 76ers, will they stay unbeaten?
Well, Utah are playing really good basketball. I like them, particularly at home, but I'm going to go with Philly. Philly are just so strong. Embiid back in the lineup, 1 to 10 for the 76ers, who I think are going to be the top 2 or 3 team in the East.
All right. Well, it's an action-packed show today. Thanks to Jo Healy, Shane Heal, myself. Before we close it out, let's get to the winner of our competition. That's right. The TCL Plex smartphone goes to, drumroll please, Aram Hone has won the phone. Aram Hone has won the phone. I've been waiting the whole show to say that. All right. He has won that. He is our major winner. And, of course, for the secondary prize, Dale Walton. And he's from Facebook, and he is our secondary winner. He wins the signed basketball.
I like it.
Yeah, right there. And, of course, I'd love to announce right now that we're having a new podcast on Apple Podcasts. Just search The Basketball Show. I'd like to thank all our viewers every Monday, 7 o'clock. Check us out, The Basketball Show. I'm Steve Carfino. He's Shane Heal. We'll see you soon.
This is a co-production by News Corp Australia and Closer Sports.